Hi, today I'm doing my presentation on Twitter News. Twitter News is the ability to get news and stay updated in the world using Twitter. Although I don't have a Twitter account like many of my peers, I've used Twitter a lot to be able to find out about news topics and news stories. So first of all, there are several ways of getting news from Twitter. The most obvious way is by following, also known as subscribing to the page of a news station to get updates. Here are only a few of the countless stations that use Twitter. Using Twitter also allows you to be able to talk to journalists and converse with others on the topic. When you follow the news stations, you'll get updates whenever they post. On the left is what the Twitter feed of the CNN breaking news account looks like. On the right is an example of a tweet by journalist Anderson Cooper. A tweet can have a website link, a picture, and can only have 140 characters. So as you can see, Twitter has become a very useful place for people to get news. This causes people to worry that getting news from social media will take over print media. Some people even say that getting news like this makes people not interested in reading a whole in-depth article. They think people want to just get news from 140 characters. These people think that this creates a Twitter versus everything else or other forms of media situation. It really isn't. While Twitter has its benefits, it won't be able to replace other forms of media such as print or web news. This is because, unlike print and web news, Twitter only has 140 characters, which is not nearly enough for an entire story. Here's a layout of a printed newspaper, the New York Times. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this look. Although the page has colored pictures, it's very text-heavy and can be very intimidating for readers. What people don't realize is the front page actually acts as a fishhook. For example, readers can see what's the news about Osama bin Laden raid, and if they want a full-depth story, they can continue to the next page. This is the Twitter feed of Really Virtual. He unknowingly live tweeted the Osama bin Laden raid. This definitely would not be possible with print media. Twitter allows for instant updates, even before news stations know about it. Another major source for news is web news. This means usually free websites with more articles and news topics. Web news can also have videos too. Many people actually prefer this over printed newspapers because of its easy accessibility and is frequently updated, rather than just daily. Oftentimes tweets from news stations or reporters will have a link to the full article or story on the website. For example, in the tweet above, the link to that goes to the web news from the slide before. Tweets can also have pictures and give just enough information to keep you updated. If you're more interested, the link takes you to a full story. This makes it easier to find stories you're interested in, rather than searching through pages and pages of an entire website. The way Twitter does this is using a tool called the hashtag. Twitter allows you to search topics you're interested in by using hashtags. An example is from the last week's Democratic debate. The example is Twitter used the hashtag #DemDebate. By clicking on this hashtag, it'll bring you to a page with all tweets using that same hashtag. All tweets on this page are related because they use the same hashtag for the topic. By scrolling down this page, you'll be able to find official articles, people's opinions, and pictures from the debate. Tweets also allow for pictures. And although print and web news obviously also allow for pictures, this is specifically helpful for Twitter because of the 140 character limit. Pictures add to the tweet. People who are not associated with news stations or journalists can tweet their own pictures. They can use the same hashtag as journalists, meaning that their pictures have equal chance of showing up on the hashtag feed. This makes it easier for random people to see their pictures. Oftentimes, journalists will actually search Twitter for pictures on news on a certain topic in their broadcast, web news, or printed media. Also, journalists actually embed tweets in their article to get personal accounts of events. One problem of getting news from Twitter, however, is that anyone can write anything. It's not always a reliable source. This is because tweets aren't edited or published like web news and printed publications are. Also, accounts like the ones above can be hacked. This makes journalists act as a filter between false and heavily editorialized news and the truth. Now, although Twitter is only the fourth most used social media site and has only the third largest amount of people who get news from it, it has the highest ratio of users getting news from the site to users overall. About half of the users use Twitter to get news. In general, social media has evolved into a place where users can get news. Anyone is able to post, making it easier to get personal accounts of news events that journalists couldn't get themselves. People are able to discuss topics using social media, and oftentimes newspapers, websites, and broadcasts will actually reference social media in their reports. This makes journalists the largest category of verified Twitter users. They make up about 24.6 of all overall verified Twitter users. Although they do not have as many followers compared to entertainers, they can arguably be equally, if not more important to them. In fact, Twitter founder Jack Dorsey actually thanked journalists for making Twitter a place for news and updates. Bill Gates once said digital reading will completely take over. It's lightweight and it's fantastic for sharing. Over time, it will take over. I disagree with this because I feel that all forms of social media actually complement each other. Each type has its pros and cons, some outweigh others, but printed newspaper consumption has definitely gone down, but will definitely not die. Instead, I think Twitter will join the ranks of all the other news sources and become a legitimate place to get and share news. A lot of people look down upon people who use social media sites, such as Twitter, to get news. But what they have to understand is that news is constant and fast, not daily. There are a lot of benefits of using Twitter, such as fast and immediate updates 24/7. Although on its own, Twitter may not be the best source for news because of its 140 character limit and unedited material, it complements other forms of news, and together they all evolve and find their own place, allowing for a well rounded place to stay updated in the world.